What if you didn't have the option to get married? Many people today take marriage for granted. Just look at Hollywood, for example. How can we forget the 55-hour marriage of Britney Spears a few years back? And Elizabeth Taylor has been married countless times, but seriously, who could turn down that fox? America as a whole may not take marriage as seriously as we did 10 or 20 years ago. But what if the right to get married was taken away from you? Gay people across the nation fight this issue every day. If asked right now in this room, many of us probably wouldn't be able to differentiate between marriage, domestic partnerships, or civil unions. While doing my research, I found out just how different the three really are. You may hear a politician say, "I'm for gay rights and civil unions, but I don't support gay marriage." What does that mean? First of all, what exactly is marriage? The main things with marriage is legal status. You get parental rights, and if your spouse happens to die, you get their money, you get everything left to you in the will, and it's pretty easy to get divorced. You can go to any state, no matter what state you're married in, and you can get a divorce. And it's also recognized across cultures, countries, and religions. Whether you're a Muslim, Catholic, or you're a Jew, if you're married, you're married. Gay marriage is only allowed in California and Massachusetts, but it doesn't matter anywhere else other than those two states because of the DOMA, which is the Defense of Marriage Act. It was a bill signed in 1996 by President at the time, Bill Clinton. It denies federal rights to same-sex couples who are married. We all pretty much understand marriage and what legally comes with it, but what about domestic partnerships? They are a little bit different. They're offered in 10 states plus the District of Columbia. They're recognized only in the state that they're given. If you get a domestic partnership in District of Columbia, if you go to another state, it's not recognized at all. It varies in area. They can be really limited, or they can be just like marriage. It varies from zip code to zip code. Washington has one of the best domestic partnerships. It offers the most rights. It's offered to gay and straight people. Straight people over the age of 62 often get a domestic partnership, so it doesn't mess with their Social Security or their pension because where it's not recognized federally. In Washington, you can get health care rights. You can visit your partner in the hospital. You can make decisions when your partner can't. And you also know information about your partner and their illnesses while they're in the hospital. If something happens and your partner happens to die, you can make funeral arrangements. You can also inherit their property. And as of March of this year, partners were just now allowed to share bank accounts, and they didn't have to testify against each other in court. It still isn't federally accepted, so it doesn't matter anywhere else except inside Washington. Just as with domestic partnerships, civil unions generally are not recognized federally or outside the state in which the union was issued. Civil unions exist in only 4 places: Vermont, Connecticut, New Hampshire, and New Jersey. Connecticut and New Jersey pretty much have the same rights offered. It's same-sex only. You have to be at least 18 years old, and in New Jersey, you have to be a resident of New Jersey. And you apply for a civil union just as you would a marriage license. Some of the rights given is you can visit them in the hospital. You don't have to testify against them in court. You can get joint custody of children. You can make medical decisions, and you can file joint tax returns, but you can't do it federally because of the DOMA. And you also get rights of next of kin. There are some main differences in marriage versus civil unions or domestic partnerships. The main one is recognition. It becomes a big deal in Connecticut if you get a civil union there, because you don't have to be a resident of Connecticut to get a civil union. So if someone lived in West Virginia and go to Connecticut and get a civil union, they decide that they don't really, they move back to West Virginia, it doesn't really work out. They have to be a resident of Connecticut for up to a year before they can get a divorce. So they're kind of screwed. Immigration is another issue. U.S. citizens, if we get married, we can sponsor our spouse to come over to the United States. And if you have a domestic partnership or a civil union, you can't do that. You also get no tax breaks, no joint returns. You cannot get Social Security for you or your partner. And a really hot issue right now is insurance. Say if you don't work but your partner does, and your partner has insurance through the company that they work for, you can't get insurance. Neither you nor your family can. So what do the presidential candidates have to say about the matter? McCain supports the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, and he supports the Defense of Marriage Act. He opposes adding sex orientation to hate crimes bills. Hate crimes bills is if you shoot someone because they're black or you shoot someone because you're white, it's considered a hate crime, and he doesn't want to add sexual orientation to that. Obama wants to repeal the Defense of Marriage Act. He wants to give immigration rights to civil unions and domestic partnerships. He wants to add sexual orientation to hate crimes bills. And he supports civil unions, but he believes that marriage is between one man and one woman. Whether you agree with gay marriage or not, it's important to understand exactly what you are supporting. Domestic partnerships and civil unions do not offer homosexual couples the same rights that heterosexual couples receive. I only ask one thing of you. After hearing the facts, should gay marriage be allowed in the United States?
Okay, any questions for Hannah?
Is the domestic partnership like gay marriage? Is that what it is?
No, it's not really like gay marriage. In Washington, it mainly is because there isn't really limited. But I think Oregon's is pretty limited, so Oregon's is kind of like a civil union. Domestic partnerships vary throughout the states. I thought that our generation was more liberal and more free-loving. The survey each of you did proved me wrong. Over half of you do not agree with gay marriage in this class. Mainly because of religion, but partly also because it just doesn't seem right. I was always ready to think for myself and form my own opinions on topics. I've always had a more liberal aspect on life, but I have my own beliefs with my reasoning. Homosexuality is normal. It is an unchangeable characteristic and it will not send you to hell if you agree with it. Many people believe homosexuality is a lifestyle choice. It's not. APA, the American Psychological Association, says that it is exactly the same as being straight. It's not a choice. You're either born that way or you're not. It's the only choice you have is whether you act upon your emotions or not. Therapy cannot help it because it's not a disease. In 1973, the American Psychological Association took homosexuality off of its list of mental illnesses and emotional illnesses. A more medical view of the point is gay women and straight men have a slightly asymmetrical brain. Their right hemisphere is a little bit larger than the left. And in straight women and gay men, they have a more balanced brain where both sides are about the same size. So it's immutable, it's a characteristic that you're born with or you're not. If anyone in this class can choose the size of their brain, that's pretty impressive. Still not agree with me? It's over 1,500 animals in the wild are homosexual. They practice homosexuality. Monkeys, lions, whales, pretty much every animal from worms to seagulls practice homosexuality. It's in nature, therefore it's a natural occurrence. Now that we know homosexuality is an immutable characteristic, let's look at another common argument. Many people believe that by supporting gay marriage and